For anybody who is just now joining us, we're here with some of the cast and crew of Fiddler on the Roof, and we're here for a little Q&A session. I'm guessing it'll take people a little while to get here, so we'll just kind of dance a little bit to the curtain call music.
I can't hear it, but I can hear it.
Just hear it in your head.
I hear it in my head.
Hear the memories. We'll see how the stream goes too. It may be really bad. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and jump onto the chat here. If you're coming into this Q&A, this live Q&A session, looks like we've got 3 people watching now, so woohoo, good job, 3 people. You can go ahead and type questions down in the chat.
I want to see the chat.
Click on the link there. Oh, we got 10 watching. We're getting people in here. We'll see if the stream.
Where's the link for that?
What's that?
Where's the link for that at?
It's at the end of the video. It's in the playlist. If you look at M-CHS Theater, it's also in the description of the show. Oh, we're hearing your voice. So this is definitely a new experiment. So thank you to everybody who's tuning in with us. Hey, I see David on here. Thanks, David. Good to see you or hear from you. Hey guys, first of all, just wanted to congratulate you on a wonderful show. Truly one of the best I've ever seen. You all did wonderfully, even under these crazy circumstances. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Theory Boo says K. Thank you, Theory. Jennifer Reynolds says, kick butt, guys. I'm glad I finally got to see a musical I played in.
Ooh.
Totally. Theory says, you guys were great on stage.
Oh.
David's got a question. My question is for Sander and Sitten. What is the process of putting together a table read? Miss Sitten, you want to talk about our first read-throughs?
No, you go. I can't quit crying.
Oh.
Well, when we first go into rehearsal, we all sit around in a big circle on the stage and we read through the script. And the cool thing about this particular show is that several of the actors already did a little homework on their characters. And so, like, Landon already had the beginnings of his Tevye voice, his Tevye dialect going. It was rough, but it was something to come to the rehearsal with, and that was really cool. And the characters were already starting to be developed, which was really fun. You're going to hear an echo behind me. Oh, Debbie McHenry says, I have my shirt on, so proud of these kids. I was trying to figure out what that meant, but it's, yeah, the Fiddler shirt. I do as well. I mean, it's quarantine time. You never know what that means exactly. All right. Chelsea Philpott says, great job. Love the show. We love you, Joseph. Lobo Mesa says, this is Chris Cantner. I wondered about that. I am Lobo Mesa. You guys are amazing. I cried through most of it. How many of the rest of you cried at least once during the show? How many of you are still crying? That's the sign of a good show. Debbie says LOL. Francis Kuick, sorry if I butchered that last name, says, how long did it take to prepare for this? Someone want to talk to that? Mia?
We did our auditions in December, I think. And then we started the whole process in January. So it took from January until March. And we did it every day from 4:30 to 6, and then from 4:30 to 8, and then from 4:30 to like 11. So it took a lot of work, but it was a lot of fun to do.
Yeah, definitely. Jeff Byerly says, glad to see the second act this time. What was it like watching this on YouTube? Coral.
One of the really cool things was watching it with my family and being able to explain a bunch of the things that they wouldn't really see. And my dad he said he was really happy to have me there to explain like the significance of Hava taking off her headscarf at the end, or the boys always wearing their hats. So it was really cool to just sit down and not only watch yourself, but also watch it with your family.
Sorry, I'm being a bad administrator on the Zoom meeting. There are 3 people trying to get in. I apologize, Dakota, Naomi, and Rachel, and John, and Brennan. Sorry, guys. I got a phone call over here. And let us in, let us in. Sorry, guys. All right. Let's see. Back on the chat here.
Face.
So Chris Cantner says, how does it feel for you actors to watch this right now? Landon?
I think it's a different experience because we were never able to really watch how we were performing before we performed or after we performed. Well, we can, but before we performed. And I think it's cool to watch yourself and watch your character and like see things that you could also work on and see things that you will do well and things that you are going to try to replicate in other performances. In this case, it's not going to happen. But I think it's a good form to go forward is to like record and then show it to us later so we can learn from that and watch ourselves. I think that's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, good. Anybody else want to speak to that? Watching this now? Grace?
I find it the weirdest thing ever because none of us have ever, well, except for like the stage managers, but most of us actors, we've never watched it before. And so you notice little things like Coral's little dance in Matchmaker, Landon and Thayer acting drunk after to life. I never got to see that before, and I find that really fun.
Definitely. All right, back to the questions on here. DJPA, so Coral's dad is interested in a shirt. I have a box of some extra shirts at the high school. Once they let us back in there, I can grab those up and maybe get you one. Let's see. Andy Bennett's laughed at that. Coral's dad said, I cried. Jennifer Reynolds said, absolutely. Debbie McHenry said, goosebumps. Aurora said, my mother is crying too much to respond, so I am connecting for her. She loves being able to see the show, and I loved every second of being able to see it again. Y'all are awesome. So that's awesome. Are you on here, Aurora? I don't see. Oh, maybe. She might be, let's see, the screen has gotten too big, maybe. Anyway, okay, cool. David Hoffman said, what is it like to pick and cast a show before the cast even sees the full script? So do you want to talk about auditioning? Anybody? What's that process like?
I think you and Sid might be most qualified for talking about the and all like that.
All right, Miss Sitton, are you composed enough to talk about the audition and casting process?
Good Lord, I hope so. Well, we pick the show and then we go with it, and we like to listen to everybody, sing a part or read a part, and sometimes we'll go into it thinking, oh, this kid is so going to be this part, and then we're like, no, this kid is so going to be this part. And sometimes casting is really, really hard. I don't remember feeling like this particular show was hard. I felt like we nailed it. I'm so proud. And to me, it seemed easy. I don't know, Mr. Sander, what do you think?
Yeah, casting is honestly my least favorite part of any process. But I think the thing because it's such a balancing act, we try to cast not only for who we think is going to play a role well, but for how they're going to work with each other and which roles are going to help a student to grow the most. And so that's tricky sometimes because you end up casting people in places you wouldn't predict sometimes, or in places they wouldn't predict. And so what tends to be the coolest to me is when a student trusts our casting and then they grow into the role and it ends up being something amazing that comes out of it. So, all right. David Hoffman says, also, so good to see you all again. Debbie McHenry, are you going to leave it on YouTube for us? So I'm going to leave it on for at least a week, unless I hear from anybody that says, shut this down, in which case I will hide it away in the archives of my YouTube channel. And I will be, don't tell, so of this show and of Curious Savage. So if you want to get any of those, just email me. My family's laughing because I just announced it publicly in front of 37 people and you all. Francis says, outstanding work, all of you. The band was. I want to talk about the challenges of this music.
I'm thinking so. This music was really, really tricky. It had a lot of really high notes and tricky runs and practiced, and they worked really hard. It was tough, but man, everybody just pulled together, and it was I don't know, it just went together.
It was really fun for me to get to listen to it from out in the audience each night, and just amazing blend, amazing instrumentation. It's so cool to have the community involved in that process, and it was so cool to have strings involved too. So, and Avery, I guess Avery's down there in the corner, or at least her ceiling. Hey,
Oh
Avery.
yeah, Avery
There she is.
talk. Avery should talk.
How was it being in the pit, Avery? She says, hold on. She's going to pantomime.
It was really difficult because I've only been playing for a year, and that music, let me tell you, not pretty. I think the easiest song I played was the final, for Act 1. It's gruesome stuff.
Gruesome, nice.
Lots of lovely key changes that
Shout
go
out
all over the
to
place.
Marla for directing, and Kira Galbraith, our pitmaster.
Yeah. And the awesome clarinet solos.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Out of the park, definitely knocked it out. It was awesome.
Stop.
So Miss Gabardi is watching on television, and she says she loves you all. So, which is a reminder to me that everyone who's watching tonight should tune into the middle school's production of the Enchanted Bookshop. So they were like 6 weeks into their rehearsals when all this happened. And so they didn't even have their sets built or anything yet, but they decided that they were going to do a dramatic reading. So they're doing a dramatic reading of their show, kind of Zoom style like this. And I'm going to help stream it tomorrow. So this is kind of a test run for the technology. If it's jittery on YouTube tonight, it should hopefully be better tomorrow. I'll make some adjustments. But you should definitely tune in. The link to that is at mchsdrama.org. So tune into that. A little commercial. Let's see. Theory says, when will we be able to buy it on DVD? You can email me about that again. Cheyenne. Hey, Cheyenne. Says, do you guys get to leave this up on YouTube, or will the copyright police not allow it? The copyright police will likely be at my doorstep tomorrow. So if you don't see me beyond the quarantine stuff, that's what happened. Douglas Lemunion, Maya's family, we loved watching the show tonight. We watched on the big screen in our backyard. So much fun. Love you all. You guys got to be on the big screen. Aurora says, my mother and I will be on there soonish. Also, do any of you have any tips on how to be as awesome as you are? I hope I can be half as awesome one day. Does someone want to comment about how to be awesome? All right, Savannah.
What?
No, knowing that was Aurora that commented that, right?
Yeah.
Aurora, you're already awesome, okay? You are an awesome human being. You work so hard. I loved being with you in Music Man last year. And I hear a lot of good things about you. You guys are, all of you in middle school theater, you guys are working so hard, and just continue working that hard. And you know what? It's not us individually that are awesome, it's us as a whole that are awesome. So just keep working hard and, keep doing what into everything you do.
Nicely put. Very good. Anybody else want to talk about being awesome?
Well, then we look self-involved.
All right. Debbie McHenry says, Janelle Hoffman says, fantastic job, everyone. DJPA, how many of the Snyders were involved? All of them. So an interesting thing came across the chatter during the play. Apparently, Coral's dad and Chris Snyder were in theater in high school together, and Savannah's mom was their teacher. Chris, you want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, that is correct. In fact, I think it was sort of the revival of the drama program at Dolores High School. So they hadn't had any kind of a program for quite some time, and Lucia came along and said, let me take this thing over and make it happen. And a bunch of us just kind of took a whack at it, and that's kind of how it sort of started back up. So it was great times.
That's cool. What shows did you do?
Up the Down Staircase and Cheaper by the Dozen. It was my last 2 years of being in high school there.
Well, that's really cool. Well, that's
and he also was in Fiddler on the Roof when I directed it the first time.
Ah.
He was on the stage.
Did you play?
Well, I was the one who was sold the mule. So really big role.
Aha. It was a horse. It was a mule.
Exactly.
That's cool. Very cool. Chris Kantner says, everyone embodied their character perfectly. I am always amazed to see this process come to life as I have ever seen. Debbie McHenry says, I will email you. Okay. I look forward to it. Guadalupe's grown since middle school, and wow, what an amazing group of kids. Love you all, especially Landon. So those of you who are seniors, does anybody want to comment on the process of growing up through theater? Landon?
I know everybody else has different stories to share throughout this, but theater has really kind of helped me grow as a person. I don't know. I still kind of struggle to understand what I'm talking about, but I think about it more, I guess. But it's helped me understanding other characters and their problems throughout their life, how their problems make them react to their surroundings, has made me learn a lot more about myself and how I treat myself, I treat people around me as well.
Excellent. Well put. Any other seniors want to talk about that?
We love you, Guadalupe. I just wanted to say that I love Guadalupe.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, Guadalupe is my favorite.
Totally.
She was bowling
the best.
Totally. All right. Cheyenne says, how many of the costumes did you guys make versus source from thrift stores and the costume shed, etc.? Do we have any costumers with us tonight? Does anyone want to talk about the costumes for this show?
I think Naomi, yeah?
Yeah. So I can't really say anything for the Russians. It was just kind of a Russian deal with them. But with the Jews, there's certain rules they have to follow considering their clothing and their dietary needs. Men have to cover their heads and wear these things called tzitzit, which were the little strings that were on the men. And married women and girls, typically over the age of like 12 to 13 to like 14, cover their heads with the headscarves like the daughters did. And yeah, that's what I can say about it. And the prayer shawl.
So there was a lot of research that went into this. Definitely, Naomi's dad came in and did a workshop with us on Jewish customs to help us better understand that. And Alex did some dramaturgy, which is research basically for the time period and Russia to add to that. And then Mia, you want to share some more?
I just wanted to talk about the headscarves.
Sure.
The ladies who had to wear headscarves, some of the younger ones got to like put it back on their head like this. And then the ones who were married had to like put it all the way up here so you couldn't see any of the hair. And let me just say how hard that was to keep that headscarf there, because even with bobby pins, it would not stay. And so anytime we go backstage, we're like yanking it forward and like tying it, retying it. And then when I had to change from him, I was putting my headscarf on and I put my head forward like this and I flip it back and my neck just freezes. And it's like tight and I can't move my neck for the next 2 days. And so I turn to Ethan and I go, my neck is frozen. He goes, oh, that's not good. And that's the story of my headscarf.
Nice. Hey, it's Mrs. Kelly and Aurora. Hi guys.
And Aurora.
Oh, hi.
Hi. So continuing on the topic of costumes, we did mix and match a lot. A lot of the dresses were the ones that went all the way to the floor. So that was really nice to be able to use those. The shirts were everything from long sleeve t-shirts that we like a ribbon on to just kind of whatever we could find. We did go to the thrift store. It was a lot of piecemealing things together. There was a team of people at one of the set days that tied all the tzitzit knots, and they were tied as authentically as we could tie them. So Rachel was a part of that. Savannah, I believe, was a part of that. And Becca and Emma were a part of that, and Brian was a part of that. So yeah, we did spend a lot of time trying to pay attention to the details on things. All right, David says, you guys definitely nailed the casting. Emily, my sister, says, yay, shout out to the pit. Whoop, whoop. Debbie McHenry says, we love Angela. Liam O'Shields says, any plans for the summer? Does anybody want to talk about their plans for the summer? Quarantine.
I'm moving 3,000 miles across the country with my cat.
Nice.
I'm moving to live with my brother. Hello.
Going to Arizona.
I might be a photographer at a summer camp, but because of Corona.
Excuse me. Chandler?
I was wanting to work on the bottle dance a little bit more this
Yay.
year.
Why not?
Right?
Some yard
So
work.
Chandler,
Yeah.
I have
a
something
lot
to
more
say, too.
quarantine. Has anyone taken up any interesting hobbies during this quarantine time? What you got, Dakota?
I'm streaming.
Nice. He got a fancy mic.
I'm painting my wall.
Who said that?
I did.
Oh, Brendan.
I'm
Yeah, what
painting
did you
my
say?
wall.
Abby's learning how to play the tuba, so that's fun.
Oh, we got some knitting projects. Jaden's got something, but I think his audio isn't working.
I was just saying that I'm teaching Abby how to play tuba.
Oh, nice.
Because we need band members. Shout out to in like a ad to join band next year because it's a good time.
So Brian's going to join band at the middle school next year. He's a trumpet player.
Join color guard too.
And join theater.
Is Brian going to do choir?
He's not going to be able to get it to fit in 6th grade because they only allow him to choose one, which is dumb.
Lame.
So soon. All right, back to the questions. Let's see. Daniel says, Mr. Sandner, he says Nicholas, but you know, it's me. What have you learned in this show that you plan to use in future shows? Pre-visualization to the final product. So I think the best part of this show for me was the researching the time period and the culture and just really digging in deep into that. We worked really hard on the dialects, which was really fun. We worked hard on just all the cultural elements that we could pull into it. And I think that was really cool. That doesn't fit every show, but I think that that was one of the cool things about this show. What do the rest of you think? What were some of the things you'll take forward with you? Coral?
I'm never going to take an opening night for granted again. I'm in those hours of dress rehearsals and thatching a roof. I will do it 10,000 more times.
Definitely. Jaden?
I learned that dancing makes a difference whenever you're having fun with it. So in years past, you know, we've had dances, but it's more like, okay, get through this dance to do the scene. But in this one, you know, we had scenes that were pretty much entire dances. Think of the wedding, you know. So it's something to be said that a story can still be told through dancing, and you have to put just as much into it as you do your acting, your dialect, your singing, all of that.
Definitely. Roman?
Well, what I've kind of learned is that, you know, like how much work and effort we put here, how many months, how much time and just time we put in here, how much energy we use, how much like emotion, practice, memorization. That's not really, it's taken for granted. Like stuff like this, like, you know, pandemic or anything else that could happen with this department or anything that can cause trouble. That like sometimes it's hard to believe that all this is just for nothing, but it will be for something. Look what we've gone so far. We've had meetings, we've had talks about this. We're still doing theater. It's not as usual that we're still strong, mighty, and that we know that this won't let us get down.
Well put. Nice job. Landon?
It's gonna be a weird answer. I think it's important for humans to understand how their day-to-day life is, and I know that this isn't the complete experience for being Jewish or being this, but I liked learning about their tradition and how their view of the world was shaped around how their traditions were. I don't know. It's kind of open, and I really want to learn about cultures throughout my life, just because of the show, and it's really opened my eyes.
Awesome. Miss Sitton?
I couldn't get the mute off. My takeaway from this whole thing was how well everything went together. I remember thinking, like, when we first put it on the stage and how things just started to go together, and in former shows, previous shows, we've been like, ugh, if Susie would just learn her lines, or if George would just learn his gosh darn dance. With this, we weren't like, oh, it just went together, and it was so much fun. I couldn't have asked for a better, just everything. It was just awesome.
Well, and how wonderful for this to be the show where that was the case, so that we could have an awesome performance on dress rehearsal. Definitely. Mia?
Absolutely.
For me personally, I'm taking some of the things that Miss Sitton taught me with vocals, because before this, I was very, very stubborn about like not wanting to use my head voice, not listening at all. And then Miss Sitton kept teaching me. She's like, no, you need to be able to switch. You need to be able to use your head voice because you sound like you're screaming. And I was like, no way, I'm not screaming. turns out I was definitely screaming and it did not sound good at all. And so I definitely have taken a lot of trust and learning from this, and just the ability to know how to use my voice more, which is very great. Thank you, Miss Sid.
Awesome. Very good. And Coral.
So this is kind of back to what Jaden was saying about the dances, and back to the question about watching ourselves. I couldn't stop smiling during the wedding dance because all of the feelings during that dance were so genuine. Like the excitement after the bottle dance, like at the end of the bottle dance, the excitement for, oh my gosh, we just did that. It was so genuine. And at the end, and whenever I don't know, for me, Ethan throws a handkerchief up and we grab it, and that's like the end of that part. It's just, oh, it's such a great feeling. And oh, it was just so real, and it's beautiful.
Definitely. Nice job. Okay, we'll do one more on this question, then we're going to move on. Roman.
So what I was going off of, Lyndon kind of said that this was a good experience for us, learning about cultures, about different lifestyles, about different things, how the world is separated. Also the dance moves and how the dresses were and how the time setting was. It was a good experience. Like, I wasn't an actor. I was behind the stage as the assistant stage manager. So I really got to see how everybody kind of developed and learned, and to see the beauty of what this brought to us. We brought an amazing show that night, and that we learned a lot from, band, pit, actors. We've worked together, and it was very cool. I'm very proud of you guys. I may not tell you that much, and I might not show it much, but this was very impressive for you guys. You blown my mind.
Thank you. Definitely. All right. So Coral's dad chimed into an earlier conversation. Up the Down Staircase was the play that I guess he and Chris were in, one of the plays they were in. So Emily Sanders says, I just want to say that I'm so sorry all this happened to you. You all worked so hard and it shows. You're all handling this like champs, and we, adult volunteers, could not be more proud of you all. DJPA, so Coral's dad says, love the Snyders acting together as a family. It is heartwarming. Definitely. Brooklyn says, my mom did pit for Fiddler on the Roof when they did it for the first time in Cortez. So that's cool. A lot of people tied to this show. That's really awesome. Jeff Byerly said, what was the most challenging aspect of this production? Besides quarantine, I guess. Roman?
Sorry, the mic wouldn't work for me, but I'd say most challenging, per se, on the tech side was trying to find old-time stuff, because it was kind of hard to find certain items, especially like how we had to make the wagon, how to find certain props, and like building the set was difficult too. I don't remember showing up to any of the builds, but when you guys building it, and your wife was a lovely painter for painting the house, the barn, the bar, it was very challenging. I can imagine time consuming, and it was just amazing what came out of it.
Jaden?
Okay, so one of the weirdest, it was in between easy, because like you knew exactly what you were doing, but whether you could get it, we would practice hours and hours and hours, but you never knew if you would get it right every single time. So it was really hard. Excuse the noises though.
Dakota, I saw your hand up too.
I love
I think one of the harder parts for me was definitely trying to get the accent down. I've never been good at accents, so that was definitely one of the definitely much harder parts for me, is just finding all the different pieces that the Russians had different from the Jews, in all those different little pieces within it. Because it's more than just having like a Jewish accent. You have to find all the little pieces inside, and you have to pick out which parts are more important than others and stuff. So
yeah, definitely. Well, I applaud you, Dakota, because I know that was certainly outside your comfort zone. So Mia.
One of the hardest parts for me personally, and I know for a couple other people, was not just the accent, which was definitely hard to figure out, like all the little logistics of it, but adding the accent onto the acting and also onto the singing and the dancing, and remembering to do it all together. So like I would come on stage and I'd be remembering to put a bunch of character into it and act and put more emotion into it, but I would forget to put my accent. Mia, please work on learning your accent. And I'm like, I promise I know it. I'm learning it, but I don't remember putting it into it. And then I also end up not singing the right notes because I'm practicing the accent of it together. Was definitely very difficult, but it was worth it in the end.
It's a balancing act, kind of like a fiddler on the roof. All right, I'm gonna cruise through a few more of these. We've hit 10 o'clock, so I want to wrap this up. But my mom says, so glad you got to put your amazing work out there. Thank you for a great night of entertainment. Seniors, even though it's sad not to get this on stage again this year, you have amazing things ahead. Debbie McHenry says, seniors, I watched you grow also. I started with Annie, but best wishes to you as you head out into this crazy world. J. Lane Shepherd says, amazing performances, so impressed. Could Landon and Rachel give me advice on how to improve the chemistry with my wife?
Oh.
Eye contact, eye contact, eye contact.
Rachel, any comments?
No. We were cute though. Watching that video, like, aw.
Totally cute. Yes.
That was cute.
I know one thing that a suggestion I gave that I thought was probably one of the most beautiful moments between you two is I suggested that you make sure you maintain that chemistry even in the dark, even in the blackout. And you guys had this little moment after your hug where Landon whispered something to Rachel. You guys came apart, you did this little nod thing to each other, and then you went separate ways, and it was beautiful. So good job.
Okay, but I want everyone to know, like, up until that rehearsal, every time we did that song, we that, and then the lights would go out, and we just.
Yeah, exactly.
It's fun.
Yeah, definitely. Chelsea Philpott says, how much practice did it take to master the bottle dance? We've got Jaden and John here, it looks like, from that dance. Jaden, you want to talk about it? Oh, I'm not hearing you, Jaden.
This is another shame.
There we go.
Okay, got it?
Got
We're
it.
good? All right, so when it got to the time that we were trying to run act by act every night, we weren't in every single scene. So it was a little bit of trying to find a time where everyone could go into the choir room and practice and just run and run and run. And then on top of that, every night at warm-ups, we would stick the bottles on our head all through warm-ups to sort of get a bottle warm-up, So it was just a long process of repetition and only 2 broken bottles.
Woohoo! That's awesome. And then a follow-up on that one is, how did it feel to watch yourselves during that scene? I thought it was fun to watch you guys.
It was terrifying.
Were you
And then
nervous for
looking at our
yourself, John?
face.
Wait, hold up, what?
Were you nervous for yourself?
Oh, yes, I really was. Because, I only had, 2 days worth of practice. So, it was scary.
Definitely.
And then also looking at our faces the entire time, I was trying to act with my face through it, but it didn't. It was just kind of constant state of fear throughout the entire thing.
It was really fun to watch everybody respond at the end of that, though, with the big excitement and everything. That was really cool.
It was definitely the best audience reaction I've ever got from anything.
Yeah.
Just
definitely.
when we got on our knees and did that, it was so cool to hear the audience just go buck wild. It was awesome.
The Snyders.
I just thought it was really cool watching it because when the bottle is on your head, it feels so wobbly when you get going. But watching it, you begin to see how how much you actually did it, and it's just kind of I don't know. It's just really cool to see how it just stays there,
Definitely.
even though it doesn't feel like that.
I thought it was great to see like the concentration faces as they were in the middle of the bottle dance, and as soon as they dropped that bottle, that grin went right up on all of their faces like, booyah, I just did that. It was awesome.
Definitely. Mia?
I wasn't in the bottle dance specifically, but just watching pretty much any scene that I was in that like I could see from the audience instead of from the stage from where I was at was so weird, because I was definitely cringing the entire time. It was like, did I really do that? Like, is that how that was? And for me, it was definitely like, I don't know, a way to realize that maybe I'm a better actor than I think I am, but sometimes it's like, whoa, you need to work on that.
Totally. All right. Liam O'Shield says, how well did you think the recorded play went? Did the lack of an audience affect the acting? Well, we actually had a decent sized audience at that show, so that was cool. Miss Itten?
I thought everything just really went together. I was pleasantly surprised at how quickly, for lack of a better term, everything immobilized and we had an almost full audience. I was very, very heartwarmed by our community that everybody just, man, they just pulled together and we had almost a full audience, Liam. It was really cool.
Mia?
That was actually the biggest audience I've ever acted for. So I thought that was crazy, especially considering like in previous shows that I've been in, it's taken multiple months to get like maybe a half of a house full for like our most crowded show of the 2 weekends. And then for this one, it took like maybe an hour of just us spreading the news, and then the people that we spread the news, spreading the news to other people. And that took like an hour and a half, which was all we had to get the house full. And the house was packed. And I was just shocked. And everybody that came that I knew was telling me, they're like, that was an amazing show, the best show I've ever seen from this high school and from any actors I've ever seen. And then one of my really good friends told me that they thought that it was better than the movie. And I was like,
wow.
Wow. And so I was really surprised with our audience and really grateful.
Good job. Definitely. All right. Well, I want to wrap things up here. I think that our stream may have gone down. I'm not really sure. I've had a few messages on here about internet being unstable. So welcome to Cortez, Colorado. But I guess if you want to read the comments in the chat, this will post after we're done. And I think all of you just froze up now too. So that's cool. Oh, there we go. Now you're moving again. Did I freeze? It was a little bit of a time warp. Anyway, this stream will be posted on YouTube as well, and I've recorded it, so I'm going to probably post that version too, which might be a little bit cleaner. So, any last words before we? Yeah, any last words, Landon? Go ahead.
Yeah. I know money is tight right now, but we made no money from this show whatsoever. So if you got a spare $5, go to mchsdrama.org and donate, and the littlest amount can help the longest way. So thank you guys so much.
Definitely. Thank you so much. So yeah, John.
Beards are a great disguise. Because like my grandmother, she was there. She couldn't recognize me the entire time.
That's awesome. That also means you acted well.
That's true.
Well, thank you guys for giving up your evening. I hope that it was a fun time. I hope this brings a little bit of closure to the show. I miss all you guys so much. I know Miss Sitten and I are so proud of all of you. Everybody, all your family, the community are so proud of you. You guys have done an awesome job. And there we go. Make sure you all tune in to tomorrow night to the Enchanted Bookshop. And then next week on Friday is Thespies. So that should be exciting. Make sure you tune into that too. So have an awesome weekend, everybody.
What time is Enchanted Bookshop?
Enchanted Bookshop starts at 6. Links on mchsdrama.org. All right. Have an awesome night, everybody.
Thank you.